Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about what's on my minimalist iPhone. I've been getting some questions recently about what I keep on my iPhone, how I organize my apps, what I decide to keep, all kinds of questions like that, and I figured it would be a perfect opportunity to share what's on my iPhone because I haven't done that in quite some time. So let's go ahead and get into this. I'm super excited about this video, but really quickly, if I look different in this video than I do in the rest of the video, it's because I forgot to film an introduction, so sorry about that. Here it is. Hope you enjoy the video. So let's go ahead and get started with talking about my home screen. So I, with my lock screen and my home screen, like to really just keep very clean, simple, pretty minimal pictures. I find that having text or too much going on visually is really distracting and just kind of adds visual clutter, and so I do try to keep my backgrounds just very, very simple. The other distinctive thing about, that you notice right away about the way that I keep my phone is that I like to have 2 to 3 rows of apps, and that's it. I really just try to keep it very simple, very clean, just because I find that when I've only got the bare necessities, the things that I actually use, or the things that I'm testing out, it just allows me to use my phone a lot more intentionally. It keeps me from wasting time on apps that I really don't have any business spending too much time on. So that's one of the first things that you'll notice is like hugely distinctive about the way that I use my phone. The other thing is that I like to group my apps. So as you can see, I've kind of got the traditional apps on the bottom. I find that those are some of the ones that I reach for most frequently. I will say that the iTunes app I haven't always had there. I have previously had the Spotify app there. And I kind of switch back and forth between them. I haven't really picked which I prefer having there, so for now it's iTunes, but no promises that it doesn't change in the future. I do group my apps though, which is another thing that I find just helps keep my phone organized and really just, creates a bit more intentionality with the way that I use it. So for example, I've got my MyFitnessPal and the Health app kind of next to each other. I like having those. It's terrible. I need to go for a walk or something. I've done like no steps today. But I like having those just to kind of track, especially my water usage for MyFitnessPal, and then steps is mostly what I track for a Health app. And I just find that those two help me to make sure that specifically like my water intake and how I'm doing and just in terms of like getting outdoors, just kind of helps me to keep on track with that. The Messages app and the Instagram app I use a lot for keeping in touch with friends and staying social. So I do love myself some Instagram. If you guys want to follow me, my username is Ashlynne Eaton, so you can go ahead and follow me there. But yeah, I really love using the Instagram app and also the Messages app just to really connect with people. I'd say those are two of the primary ways that I do that on a regular basis. So I keep those pretty front and center on my phone. I also keep the camera app and the photos app together. I find that I use the two in combination a lot, and I use them both pretty frequently. So once again, kind of a place of prominence on my phone. Clock and calendar. Honestly, I don't use the calendar app all that much, but I do use it for checking the date just by visually looking at it a lot. So I keep that on there. The clock I'll use all the time for setting alarms. For example, I try to get up at 7:30 every morning, so I'll usually set my alarm for that. I have a 5-minute snooze built in just so I can wake myself up a little bit because I'm not naturally a morning person. But yeah, one thing that might seem a little bit maximalist, if you will, about my phone is that I have the Evernote and the Notes app on my phone. Honestly, I use both of these for different purposes. The Evernote app I actually share with people so we can kind of be on track with tasks and stuff like that. So that's more of like a work-related app, and then the Notes app is typically what I use more for personal use. It might seem excessive to have both, but I do use both for different purposes, and I use them pretty frequently. So I've kind of got them bunched together, and I've kind of just made the decision to keep both of them because I use them. If I was to get rid of one, it would probably be the Evernote app, but once again, because I use it for work purposes, it just makes more sense to keep it, obviously. Reminders is something that I use all the time. You can see kind of my groceries list that I have going on there. And then I've got the weather app because it's nice to be able to check the weather. I have it kind of rotating consistently between Celsius and Fahrenheit because I think in Celsius, but everyone else in North Carolina thinks in Fahrenheit. So That is one thing that I struggle with pretty frequently. But those are kind of my most used apps, and I try to keep those all on the first page just because it's the most useful to me that way. Okay, moving on to the second screen. On this screen I have the apps that I still use very regularly, but a little bit less frequently. So at the top I've got the virtual wallet app, calculator, maps. Those are all pretty self-explanatory for, you know, banking and math, because I don't like math. And then also, you know, naturally the maps. I do have on this side, I've got the App Store, so can't get rid of that. Settings, wallet, find my iPhone, can't get rid of any of those. I also have the contacts and FaceTime apps just because I use those fairly frequently. Same thing with voice memos. Comes in handy a lot more than you would think, so I do use that one as well. And moving on to the bottom row, this is really where I keep a lot of stuff in folders just because I find that I have a lot of like items that I want to keep together. It also just kind of minimizes the sheer number of things that I need. So let's go ahead and just start from the left. This is honestly just my miscellaneous one. So I've got Yelp, Amazon, Airbnb, Poshmark. Those are kind of the 4 staples of the miscellaneous category because I use them all quite regularly. Christopher and I have Amazon Prime, so I'll order things decently often from there. Things like, you know, vitamins and health and beauty stuff. Like I order a decent amount from Amazon. Airbnb, I used to book travel, so I guess I don't always have one there, but Christopher and I do have some travel coming up, so I've been looking at some different places on Airbnb, so that's been there. Yelp also I use all the time to find fun new restaurants and places to try here in Charlotte, and also while I'm traveling. Poshmark I actually use to sell different older pieces of clothing from my closet. So if you go ahead and look here, you can kind of see like different things that I'm selling. Oftentimes they're things that I'll have decluttered in the past. So it's a really nice place where I can kind of like get some money back for the things that I have previously bought. Actually, and if you're interested in kind of checking out my closet, I have decluttered some stuff recently, so I'll be posting some new stuff there soon. I'll go ahead and leave the link for that below. The ESPN one, I play fantasy football, so that one will probably get decluttered in December when my fantasy season is over, but for now it's gonna stay there. And then one thing that I do is often I'll have trial periods for apps. So for example, the Harry Potter app is one where I've kind of been trying it out right now, seeing how I like it, things like that. And so I kind of downloaded it a few weeks ago. I've used it a few times, kind of playing it. I'm not sure that I'm going to keep it because I haven't used it that often, but at the same time it's pretty fun, so I'm going to kind of give it a couple of more weeks. If I continue to use it, then I'll probably keep it, and if not, I'll probably go ahead and just declutter it from my phone. And that's kind of a way that I like to approach apps in general, is just if I'm using it, if I go through, you know, a month or so where I've used it several times, then I'll go ahead and keep it. And if not, at the end of that month or so long trial period, I'll just go ahead and declutter it because I want to make sure that the apps I keep on my phone are actually adding value. So let's move on to this media section. In here, I've got the ESV Bible, use that, Spotify, podcasts, Audible. Those are all apps that I use very frequently. The bookshelf one is actually something that I use to read my textbooks from digitally. So I've only got one more week left of the class that I'm using that app for. So a week from now I'll be decluttering it, but for now it's going to stay there. So I've got that. And then in social, I work in social media, and so a lot of these apps are just requirements for my job. YouTube and YouTube Studio, obviously I use for YouTube, but Pinterest, Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp I use for work, and then GroupMe I use for like communication with friends, things like that. And then very last but not least, I have photo. I really enjoy photography, I enjoy Instagram, and so I have a couple of apps that kind of go along with that. These are all things that I use on a regular basis. The Canon Camera Connect one I use to kind of download pictures from my camera to my phone. It's really, really helpful. I use Visco and Snapseed pretty often. If I was to get rid of one, it would probably be Snapseed, but I still use it often enough to think it's worth keeping on my phone. Preview I use just because I like seeing the pictures that I post before I post them. Necessary, no, but I use it, so I mean, I'm going to keep it, I guess, until I stop using it. Unfold is for Instagram stories. That's kind of another one that I have in this trial period. I downloaded it about a week or so ago. I think I've used it once, so I'm not sure that I'm going to keep it, but it's still in its trial period, so we'll kind of take it one step at a time and see whether or not I decide to kind of keep it long term. And then InShot is one that I've actually downloaded for work, doing some stuff for Instagram for my boss. And so he asked me to download that one. Haven't used it yet, but I'm sure he's going to be talking to me about it, in the near future. So yeah, that's everything on my phone. This little notification, I will say. One thing that I try to do is make it so that I don't have notifications. I turn them off for almost everything except for like messages and my phone. But you can't turn them off for settings, which is kind of a bummer because I know it's because I run out of storage space or whatever and don't want to go through that hassle. But that is one thing that you'll notice is like I don't have tons of notification buttons, and it's because for me, part of having a minimalist phone has to do with like using your phone intentionally, using the time that you spend on your phone intentionally. And I find that if I'm constantly being distracted from, my real life by notifications on my phone, I end up spending way more time on my phone than I necessarily should. And so for me, that's just one of the small things that I can do to make sure that I'm using my phone more intentionally. Also, I wanted to answer this question just because I know I'm going to get it. The phone that I have is an iPhone 8. I had a 6 for quite a long time, but it randomly stopped working on me last year. So yeah, I have an iPhone 8, and the covering I have for it is a, what is this called? Spigen case. It's one of their like hard, soft cases. It also lets you store 2 credit cards in here, or actually I keep my driver's license and a debit card in there. But yeah, I absolutely love this phone, this case. It's really functional for me. It basically has everything I need on it. And I mean, I'm not saying you have to get it, but that's what I have and it's worked well for me. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful for you, that it gave you maybe some inspiration or ideas about how you can just use your phone more intentionally, how you can keep only what you use and what adds value on it, and just how you can use it as a tool and not as an idol. Make it so that your phone accentuates and adds value to your life and doesn't just waste your time, and kind of make it so that you're mindless and not connecting with people as much. Because I really do believe that like phones are a tool, but that they shouldn't detract from us having actual human connection. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Like I said, that it gave you some inspiration. If you guys have any ideas though on organizing a phone, keeping a minimalist phone, I'd love to have any kind of thoughts or ideas that you have around that topic. So let me know what those are in the comments below. Also, if you guys haven't subscribed yet today, I would love it if you'd go ahead and do so. You can go ahead and just hit that red subscribe button so you can see all of the new videos that I have coming up. I appreciate you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.